Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Hi, my name is Nelson Moransky, and inside the Actors Studio, and I'm here with my personal good friend, Kermit the Frog. He's a singer, actor, MC, banjo player, and understudy for Yoda. Well, welcome to the show, Mr. Kermit the Frog. May I call you Kermit or Mr. the Frog?
All right, well, you can, either one is fine. You can call me whatever you want, because we're friends.
Okay.
So, either way, well, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's really nice to be here in Maryland again. It's been a long time, so it's very nice.
All right. Well, now we can all assume from the Muppet movie that you weren't always living in New York or Hollywood, but your roots are actually in the swamp. What was your childhood like?
I think my childhood was pretty good. It was very busy. I mean, I did take time to relax and, play my banjo out on the water and stuff like that. But I had thousands of brothers and sisters, so keeping up with all those tours could be pretty difficult. But we did save time by not wearing any clothes, so we didn't have to do any laundry.
Now, you mentioned playing the banjo. Who invented it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, you can't just show up here being famous and whatnot and tell them about playing the banjo and how important it was in your childhood without knowing who invented it.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, for example, I really love Bazooka Joe gum. I know for a fact that Theodore Bazooka Joe is the one who invented bubble gum. So, moving on, how did you get to New York City and Sesame Street?
Oh, well, you see, I started by doing some acting right in the Maryland area. It was actually in the Baltimore, D.C. area on a show called Salmon Friends. And a lot of times on Salmon Friends, I'd be lip-syncing to records and wearing a wig and stuff like that. So I did a lot of that for a while. And then eventually, Jim Henson, who was a friend of mine for a very long time, he and the Muppets, we all decided to move to New York City. And so that's what we did. But really, to get to New York City, I just took a bus.
So, did you like wearing the wig?
Yeah, I guess I did.
Do you miss the wig? Does it break your heart that it's not on your head right now?
I don't know. Not really.
Well, what does that have to do with how you got to New York, then?
Nothing, I guess. Do you ask these awkward questions to just your friends in casual conversation?
Why did you and the Muppets decide to make a comeback when you did?
Well, you know, it had been 12 years since the last movie, and you don't really want a movie like Muppets from Space to be the last movie you do. So we decided that it would be a good idea to make a comeback, and really it was Jason Segel, a great guy and a big fan of mine, who decided that the Muppets ought to have a comeback, and he went to Disney, and he made that request, and they told him to write a script, and he did. And, you know, Jason Segel, his nude scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that was actually inspired by my wardrobe right here. So Jason Segel was a very cool guy, big fan, and it was very nice for him to write that script and get Disney to make that movie. And so, yeah, he starred in it, and now we're working on...
I do want to take a moment to point out the fact that you are stark naked in this chair right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are going to get a lot of complaints from the FCC. But this network has low ratings, so any attention is good attention. Now, that's nice, but if you died right now and you went to heaven, what would you want to hear God say as you entered?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe something like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we now present to you Kermit the Frog. Yay!" Something like that, maybe?
Now, Mr. the Frog, I'd like to ask you, where do we go when we die?
Gosh, I wish I knew. I don't know. Maybe we all turn into butterflies.
I don't appreciate your comedy right now.
No, I didn't mean that as comedy. I mean, really, I don't know. We could turn into birds or... I don't know.
That's nice to know. I'm from France, so I think that your legs would be delicious. So we'll talk about that later. What is your view on the Walt Disney Company owning you and your soul?
My soul? Isn't that a bit extreme? I mean, well, I like Disney. I like the Walt Disney Company, and Mickey and I, we've been friends for a very long time. So I think I'm basically happy with Muppet ownership overall. I mean, yeah, it's been nice, and so it's sort of like being adopted into a big family that I already knew very, very well. But my soul, don't you think that's a bit extreme?
well, men like us, Kermit, live for the extremes. So what was your education like in the swamp? What kinds of classes did you take, and how well did you do in them?
Well, I'd say my education was basically good. I had an A in fly catching and an A in advanced road crossing. I did pretty well in competitive hopping, too. I had an A in an elective called Prince Prep, which was about how to rule
Now
a
I'm going to
small...
stop you right there, Mr. the Frog. I have some important questions I need to ask you. Now, recently, we've actually gotten certain information that links you to certain members of the Communist Party of the United States, and I'd like to ask you a very serious question. Are you, or have you ever been, a member of the Communist Party of the United States of America?
No, I have not. You see, once upon a time, everybody in Hollywood was a suspect of being a communist. But I think as a country, we've moved past that point. So I don't really see why people still might suspect that I'm a communist. I've never had anything to do with any of those unions.
Now, once again, I'd just like to say that was a strange green man who wandered into the studio. It's been a very pleasurable experience talking to him, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, to get to New York, I took a bus.
Why did you and the Muppets decide to make a comeback when you did?
Oh,
It might as well have happened anyway.
sorry.